the prevailing thought is that e-commerce is taking over retail, but in reality, 90% or more than 90% of retail still happens in store. So people are still going and picking up groceries on the way home from work. People are still going to the malls, going to Nordstrom to pick up clothes. So retail is not dead, it has just changed significantly. And in the last 10 or 15 years, retailers have had to adapt to that. And so they've spent years building e-commerce sites, and so there's Nordstrom.com, Target.com, Lowe's.com, and they've done a pretty good job and they've learned a lot about e-commerce. But a new change has happened in the last really 5 years is people now have smartphones and people are going mobile. And just in the last year, we had a month where one of our customers hit a tipping point where 51% of the traffic to their e-commerce site came from mobile devices. Another trend is that same company did a survey of those mobile users and found that 70% of those users were planning a trip to the store when they were visiting that e-commerce site. But these e-commerce sites, and even the mobile apps, weren't designed for an in-store usage. And it's not the same problem you're trying to solve. When you're building a shopping list for the store, you don't go and browse the socks and determine which pair of socks you're going to buy. You put on there that you need to buy some socks, or you need some milk, some cheese, some butter. You might put some things on there that you do plan on buying. You got the G.I. Joe with a Kung Fu grip for your kids, or something very specific, but you want a mix of those things, and that's not something e-commerce is typically provided. And the other piece that the retailers are trying to do with this is think about how do they personalize the experience. But it's a trade-off, because in reality, there's a creepiness factor around personalization, and people went through this in e-commerce. And when e-commerce started personalization, there was a balance, and e-commerce engines had to figure that out, figure out what people were comfortable with, figure out how to sort of teach people and train people and provide tools so they understood what was happening and why they were getting the suggestions. And so you see on Amazon, people that bought this also bought items like this, sort of giving you ideas why these things are being recommended to you. And so the similar balance needs to be found in sort of that in-store retail experience. This sort of shows to that factor. This is a research study done by Deloitte. And Deloitte estimates that in 2018, of the nearly $5.5 trillion in commerce in the United States, a significant portion of that, $4.5 billion, will be mobile influence. And so people will use their mobile phone before going in and making purchase, looking up reviews, finding the products in store, seeing what's in stock. So at Point Inside, we've taken on sort of 3 big steps here. So the first was we started as a mapping company, and so that we started with maps. And so in order to find where a product is in the store, you have to know where it is and map it to a place on the map. And so retailers, we've spent time building maps. We started building maps as simple images that you could zoom into, but you lose fidelity, you don't get the interaction you want. And with our launch of Target in last October, we launched a 3D mapping engine that works very similar to how Google and Apple Maps work. And that's sort of the expectation users have when they're using an online map, that it works very similar. You can zoom in, you can spin it, the text stays visible no matter what level. As you go in closer, you get more levels of detail. And so we've developed an engine that does that. We used people that are interested in technology, we used an online gaming engine that people use to build mobile applications. Another problem that we're also working to solve is how do you find out where the shopper is in the store? So you can provide, often if you're looking at a map, it helps a lot to know where you are. And so we spend a lot of time working on the technologies here. 3 or 4 years ago, people were trying to use Wi-Fi to solve this problem. Wi-Fi doesn't really do a very good job here, so people have moved on. Apple shut down a lot of the access to Wi-Fi, so it doesn't really work. People are using Bluetooth low-energy iBeacons. So iBeacons have become very popular for this. And so we're working with a lot of vendors and a lot of our customers to try to put trials, and you're going to see trials in the next year where people are using beacons to try to do various levels of location, from figuring out what department you are in to maybe even figuring out what aisle you're in.
Boop, 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 boop.
What does that mean, done?
That means 5 minutes is up.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah. Yeah, so we're not going to that level of integration quite yet, but we do sort of the pathing and the thinking about how would you, if you have a shopping list, how would you sort that and order that to get the ideal path through the store? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a challenge, and so you know, I think, and maybe Nordstrom can talk about this a little bit later, but you know, it's a balance that people are playing. Now that there's more options for shopping and people can shop online, stores have to figure out how to make it a compelling and fun experience, and so you know, it used to be that you always had to, you know, the milk's at the back of the store to force you to go through the store. The escalators always force you to walk through the whole store or not. But more and more you see more convenience is made to make shopper more enjoyable, find the things you want. And the studies that have been done have shown that if they actually help people shop faster, they'll use that extra time to maybe spend more time browsing and not, they've set aside the time, they've got the time, they might actually buy more stuff.
One more question?
Yeah, sorry. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're just providing a platform. So we don't build the app, but what we provide is a platform that provides the store maps, store-specific product search, product recommendations, and analytics. So we don't actually build the apps themselves. All right. Thanks, you guys.